Hey guys, Max here from Cumana. Um, in this video, I want to talk with you a little bit about what you as a business are actually paying for when you solicit the services of an SEO company and start paying them a monthly retainer or whatever your agreement is. This video will discuss with you, uh, tell you a little bit about kind of what an SEO company or consultant is doing on a daily, weekly basis, and a little bit about where your money is essentially earmarked for when you spend it with them and where it's actually going. Um, the first element is you're paying for their time. Um, so a component of that is you're paying them for strategy. And strategy is not a stationary topic. It's something that changes and evolves on a monthly, quarterly basis. And so you're paying them to help you figure out what your online goals should be. And this might mean keyword research. It might mean analyzing the analytical data associated with your account. It's essentially the brain power that goes into helping you figure out what your targets should be. And this should be pretty self-explanatory. You rely on their expertise to tell you what to do. So that's strategy for you. The next big component that if they're not doing this, if you're working with an SEO company and they're not doing this, you should be concerned. It's content creation. Um, it's no mystery. Google favors larger websites that have more high quality content. And if you want to rank well, you need content for two reasons. One is you have to show Google you're a trustworthy website. So more content that's quality content will help you rank well. That's a given. But the other thing is you need to solicit backlinks from other websites. Now, there's been a lot of stuff going on about how to backlink and so on and so forth, and I won't get into the political conversation, but essentially, no one disagrees with the fact that you need backlinks in order to rank well. The issue is when people create, shady automated solutions to generate links to themselves, and frankly, add no value to the internet. They just clutter up Google's search engine. So, in order to not fall into that category, you have to create worthy content, content that is good, shareable, and something that Google would love to show its viewers. Um, so as an SEO agency, one of the things that you have to be critically aware of is, a part of your budget every month should go towards content creation. Content creation, which is an infographic, articles, um, guides, blog posts, take your pick really, but as long as it's high quality and can then be shared with other people. So typically speaking, a typical SEO agency will spend some of your budget on content creation with the intent that after it's been created, they'll then send that piece of content to other websites in order to gain a link from them to your article. And this is pretty common as a technique. And so, content creation and then the next thing, on-site optimization, kind of go hand in hand to an extent. They're both, all of these factors are things that are being done to your website. So on-site optimization is one of the first things that any SEO company you hire will do. It's updating meta tags. It's on-site issues. If you have 30 keywords you want to target, on-site optimization will be figuring out the destination for each of those keywords and changing the content on those pages, those destination pages, based on that keyword research. It'll mean identifying and deleting duplicate content, configuring your blog, and frankly, finding on-site opportunities that'll help you be more in alignment with what Google wants to see or needs to see in order to understand what your blog is about or your website's about. So, I mean, if you're selling blue widgets on your website and you don't have blue widgets mentioned anywhere on your website, it's something an SEO company will identify and say, well, you don't mention blue widgets. How would Google know you sell blue widgets? And this all goes back to the on-site optimization thing. If you have no on-site optimization or poor on-site optimization, this is typically the first avenue through which you'll see the biggest immediate gain in rankings. We've seen law firms and bigger businesses go from something as crazy as page 8 to page 3 just by doing on-site optimization for the keywords that page is supposed to be targeting. And typically you'll want to do a page by page audit to kind of understand that, and then you'll have recommendations, and then so it's a process. Um, and the bigger your website is, the more intense it is. But it's definitely a rewarding and necessary part of your campaign. Um, the next thing that an SEO company will charge you for is social outreach, and this is an external service they provide. And when I say external, I mean it's hard to say, hey, it's easy to say, I'm sorry, that we created 10 articles. Social outreach or outreach in general, reaching out to other websites, is a little bit harder because it's something that is not really quantifiable. Um, in terms of, here's the results of that. You could reach out to 100 people and potentially get nothing. So social outreach is essentially how the process through which an SEO company will reach out to, other peers in your industry, other trending individuals, trendsetters, in order to, show them your content and request that they share it with their audience. And essentially, it's the social media component of SEO, social signal generation, getting activity on Google Plus, Facebook, LinkedIn, to communicate, to share your website, and so on and so forth. It's depending on the philosophy of the SEO company. This is one of those things that some SEO companies consider optional, and I mean, it all just depends. Typically, any good SEO campaign will include social outreach as a first step, because that then percolates and translates into links. But that's our opinion. The next component that you'll probably end up paying for as a part of your retainer is something that you'll find more with shady gray hat, black hat companies, which is some of your money will go towards actually purchasing backlinks. And I mean, the concept of buying backlinks isn't really all that foreign. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of websites out there that sell you backlinks for pennies on the dollar. If you're working with a firm that's purchasing backlinks, you can expect, that a portion of your budget is going right out the window in terms of while you may be paying $1,000 to this company every month, they might be spending 400 of that every month or 500 of that every month buying backlinks. In some cases, you'll see SEO companies actually renting backlinks. So what they're doing is they're paying a website every month to put a link there pointing to your website, and they might pay them $10, $20, $40, $50 a month for that link, or even $300 depending on where it's placed. It's definitely something that eats away at the budget and leaves the vendor, the company, with less money to then invest in other worthwhile places like content creation or frankly paying for more hours of work that their team could be doing. And it's definitely, if you see a company saying, well, we spent $300 this month on buying backlinks, it's something that you should avoid as a vendor. You should avoid that type of company, because it means that at best they're buying backlinks, which is against the rules. We all know that. But they're because they're buying backlinks instead of earning backlinks, they're at risk of either buying backlinks from the wrong place, which might get you into a penalty later, or at best, they're buying these links, but and what they really should be doing is focusing on creating organic content that can then earn you links, because buying backlinks is one of those things. The minute you stop, it's over. And there's really no source of perpetual link building. It's pretty much the faucet's off. But when you create an infographic, for example, that can be shared 1,000 times, 2,000 times, 3,000 times, you've essentially created a source of perpetual links. And so that's the difference between purchasing versus earning links. That, putting aside the political, rhetoric, let's talk about pragmatic business sense. This is why you should focus on earning them as opposed to buying them. And this goes into, another segment, which is Another portion of your budget is going to go towards not just, say, buying backlinks, but third-party tools and services. And this is a very, really, generic statement, but SEO companies use a lot, most SEO companies use a lot of different tools. SEMrush, which helps a company know where you're ranking and what you're ranking for. It's pretty much a research tool. Majestic is a backlink analysis tool. It's a website where you can go and see how many links are being built to your website, to your competitor's website. Typically, SEO companies will look at your Majestic SEO profile at least once a month, just to see if links have been built organically, or worst case scenario, they'll look to see if there's any negative SEO going on. In some cases, we only discovered negative SEO was being done, malicious links from foreign websites as a result of Majestic. And then there's all sorts of other paid monthly subscription tools as well out there: heat maps, scroll maps, click maps. I mean, take your pick really. But for every service, for every cool tool that a vendor uses on your website, you can assume that you're subsidizing the cost of that tool to the vendor to some extent. In some cases, some of these tools will say that for each website that the vendor gets the service done on, they have to pay a separate fee. So if they have 100 clients, they have to pay $30 for every client. I mean, it's not uncommon for that to happen depending on the type of tool. So assume that some of your money is going towards these tools that a vendor is using to help manage and get you better results for your account. The next component, which many people forget, is many businesses have hard costs just to keep the lights on. And this has nothing to do with the competition of your industry. It has everything to do with just the fact that a company is a certain way. So if you're working with a company that's on, again, Madison Avenue and has 300 employees, you can assume that they've got some pretty good overhead, and that overhead has to get paid somehow. And so typically speaking, you'll see bigger companies like that charge larger retainers, and frankly, a lot of the money you spend with them subsidizes those salaries, as opposed to actually going towards your account, and as opposed to actually helping you. And we see this as a very common occurrence with a lot of the larger companies. You really kind of get a lot of these fancy reports, but at the end of the day, your money's really just kind of getting washed down into salaries and bonuses and packages. So but ignoring all that, there are some other hard costs that they have. Most companies have a project manager and an account manager. The account manager is the guy who you talk to. Now, if you're working with a medium-sized company or a small business SEO company, the project manager and account manager, again, if you're working with a freelancer, most likely it'll be the owner of the company. But the minute you work with a 3 to 5 man operation, 3 to 5 man company, the CEO will be there if there's a fire, or the president. But most of the time, you'll be dealing with an account manager. Call it your customer service rep. He or she makes sure you're happy. And then you'll have the project manager. The project manager is someone who's kind of behind the scenes. You don't really know about him. He's probably one level below, in a smaller SEO company, he's one level below the president. It's someone who kind of makes sure that work is getting done on your account from a technical level. So he's the guy who will figure out what has to get done and make sure, say they're working with, there's 3 types of different consultants in their company. One is an on-site guy, one is a backlink building guy, and then one's a social media guy. The project manager will synchronize the efforts of all 3 of these guys in order to make sure that your overall goals are being met. And it's his job to kind of micromanage all 3 of these different consultants to make sure that what they're doing is synchronized amongst themselves, and is going and the activities they do are working towards the purpose of getting you where you need to be. And it's typically project manager is normally never ever, he never ever speaks to the client. There's really no reason. That's the account manager's job. And obviously there's all sorts of other expenses that I'm not talking about, but again, there all of these other expenses that I'm really not touching really go back to the business operating expenses of the company you're working with, and uh, touch base on um, all the stuff that you don't really see, um, but you're paying for on some level. So that pretty much concludes this video in terms of what are all the different things that you're essentially paying for when you work with an SEO company, and a lot of this should just go towards helping you make a more informed decision. Um, Typically speaking, the thing that you really want to worry about and think about when hiring an SEO company is, are they taking your money and spending it on backlinks or not? The reason I'm addressing this specifically right now is because if they're taking money every month and spending it on backlinks, um, they're really doing you a disservice. And I say that literally, they're doing you a disservice. Their focus is on an old school tactic, and they're not up to date with kind of the recent strategies and shifts in overall directions. And you really want to make sure your money's not going towards that. You want to make sure that your money's going towards creating organic content that can be shared, and you want to make sure that the money's going towards their efforts to then share that content, as opposed to just going onto a website and placing a bulk order for links. So just keep that in the back of your head, and you should be okay. So that's that for this video. Please continue reading our SEO guide on understanding SEO company pricing, and we'll go from there. All right, thank you guys.